In last video we discussed about Mars and Rahu transit for all the ascendants. In this video we are going to talk about Saturn and Ketu, the retrograde Saturn and Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius for all the ascendants. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazadi, help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic astrology. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. You will be getting Vedic astrological videos just like this one, and these videos will help you raise your vibrations and will help you go further faster into Vedic astrological studies. If you're not following me on Instagram, well, this is my ID. Go follow me on Instagram. And if you have any question, add me on Instagram at Pramanik Astrology. If you have any query or question, DM me on Instagram. I reply to all the DMs and I read all the DMs. Okay. If you have any question, you can also ask the questions on the relevant video. And what is a relevant video? Suppose you have a question around retrograde Saturn. You can go to my retrograde Saturn video. Just put the comment with your query, and I will read that query and answer that query. And if you are looking for readings and consultations, check out the link into the description section and go for the complete horoscope analysis. Okay, Saturn and Ketu. Saturn is retrograde. We have talked enough about Saturn retrograde in our previous videos. If you have not watched my Saturn retrograde video, I will put a link into the I button or in the description section. Okay, just go and watch that video about the Saturn retrograde. Right now Saturn is into the sign of Sagittarius and it is conjunct the Ketu. Okay, what is the sign of, what is Saturn? The first thing which comes to my mind when I think of Saturn is the negativity. It is that distrust, negativity and a restriction. Okay, all this sounds bad, but I recommend you not to think in terms of good and bad. Okay, Saturn is also the significator for the death. Saturn is the Kala. Okay, so Saturn is about the death, about the dark, about the night, about the negativity in life. Saturn is a polar opposite of Jupiter. And now this Saturn is conjunct with Ketu. Ketu is that intensified spiritual energy which is all about our accumulated karma. Okay, Ketu are the things which we have already achieved in the past lives. Okay, wherever you have Ketu placed in or wherever you have Ketu, Ketu shows the things which you have already achieved. Okay, so you feel very comfortable about it. So you like to cling to the things of Ketu. Now let us move on to the conjunction of Saturn and Ketu. If you combine the significations of Saturn like death, negativity, restrictions, hard work, along with the Ketu which is about the inward energy. Ketu is a very intensified inward energy and Ketu is a backward looking planet. By backward, I don't mean looking back or retrograde. It is always into the retrograde motion. But what I mean is Ketu signifies things which we have already achieved in the lifetime. Now this Ketu is conjunct with the Saturn. The most important thing I like about this combination is Saturn and Ketu brings the spiritual humility. Saturn is all about your humble approach. Saturn is an old guy. Saturn is a very humble guy. Saturn is a down to earth because he is so insecure and is so prepared for the worst due to its negativity that he does not have that hope. He does not have that higher belief like Jupiter. He is just looking at the ground level. Whatever he can see in front of him, he is looking for his bare necessities. That is Saturn. Okay, but Saturn is intelligent. Saturn is not dumb. He may be poor, but Saturn is a very intelligent guy. Okay, now the Saturn and Ketu, what it shows is you will have the spiritual humbleness. These people are so prepared for the worst. These guys know that life is not going to be easy. Things are not going to come easy to anybody. So they are very well prepared for it. So they always ready for the worst. Okay, so whenever we have Saturn and Ketu conjunction, the person with the Saturn and Ketu conjunction has a next level maturity. Like he will have biggest, the darkest period of his life, but he will simply say that in just one word. Okay, yeah, I just lost everything. Okay, now I'm working here to build it again. Just 2 sentences, no drama, nothing. That's Saturn and Ketu. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the effects of Saturn Ketu conjunction for all the ascendants. There are three things we have to consider. Saturn Ketu is into the sign of Sagittarius, which is all about your hopes, which is all about your bhagya, which is all about your higher beliefs. And now you have that negative and gloomy and distrustful Saturn there, and you have the intensified inward Ketu there. Okay, so wherever you have sign of Sagittarius, this conjunction is going to impact you in a certain different way. Okay, so depending upon your ascendant, you will have a different experience of this. So we are talking about the three things to consider for this video. The first thing is Saturn and Ketu conjunction, which is happening into the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, and on the other end of this axis, Rahu Ketu axis, Mars is conjunct with Rahu. So we all have Sagittarius and Gemini Rashis somewhere in our chart. So these are the two focal points which are in question, which are under scrutiny, because all the malefic planets are in these two houses. Okay, because see, we have Akshaya Tritiya today. When I am recording this video, it's Akshaya Tritiya. What is Akshaya Tritiya? Akshaya Tritiya is when moon and sun are exalted. Okay, so moon is into the sign of Taurus and sun is in the sign of Aries. Okay, and all this drama is happening in the sign of Sagittarius and Gemini. So moon will definitely join the party in couple of days. Sun will join the party in next month, or maybe 15 days after, whenever it will move from Taurus to the Libra, from Taurus to the Gemini. Okay, so all these things are going to be very heavy in Gemini and Sagittarius axis. And more so, the lord of the Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, is into the 12th house to the Sagittarius and is retrograde. Okay, so it is a very heavy, and so it has that double impact. Okay, we have a retrograde planet into the sign of Sagittarius, and the lord of the Sagittarius is also into the retrograde motion. Okay, so the things are going to get intensified during this period. Okay, so let us start from the Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, the sign of Libra is into the 3rd house. We have talked about what's going to happen with respect to the Rahu and Mars in the previous video. If you have not watched that video, go watch that video. Okay, we are concerned about the 9th house, like Saturn and Ketu into the 9th house of the horoscope for Aries ascendant. Okay, so 9th house is all about your higher beliefs. Okay, so during this period, your beliefs will be tested. Your beliefs will be put under the scanner of the retrograde Saturn. So the retrograde Saturn will test you with respect to your ideologies, with respect to your spiritual beliefs, with respect to your religious inclinations. Okay, for Taurus ascendant, this is going to come into the sign of Sagittarius in the 8th house. 8th house is the house of your in-laws. More so, it is the house of the support house to your 7th house. 7th house is the house of your partner. It is the supporting house, the second house to the 7th house. So it is kind of a family of your partner. So it is the house of your in-laws. More so, it is the supporting house for the 7th house. Okay, and now we have that Saturn and Ketu conjunction into the sign of Sagittarius here. So what it shows is you will have to be careful with respect to the inheritance. You have to be careful dealing with the in-laws. Okay, more so this 8th lord is into the 7th house retrograde. Okay, so all this you have to be careful with these two houses. Amazing. This is the battleground. Sagittarius and Gemini axis are the battlegrounds for the malefics for these 2 months or 2-3 months. Mars Rahu in Gemini in ascendant, and in 7th house you have Saturn and Ketu. What is 7th house? 7th house is the house of your partner and marriage. So your marriage will be under the scanner of the Saturn and under the scanner of Ketu. So you will be, you won't be interested into the 7th house things, because Ketu is a planet of separation. Okay, separation need not be a divorce, an emotional separation, like you won't feel like dealing with other people, because 7th house is also the house of your business. So you won't feel like dealing with others. And as Rahu is into the 1st house, you are more concerned about yourself. Okay, Rahu Mars into the 1st house will make you go to the gym, transform your body, think about yourself. Okay, the next is Cancer ascendant. For Cancer ascendant, this is happening into the 12th and the 6th house. When the 6th house you have Saturn and Ketu, 6th house is all about the dates, delays and diseases and your hard work. Saturn loves the hard work part of the 6th house, and it also delays the diseases and deaths. Okay, but Ketu is a headless body, so you have to be careful dealing with your dates. You should not go beyond your capacities, and also you have to be careful that Mars and Rahu is also aspecting from the 12th house of the losses to the 6th house. Okay, you cannot isolate just Saturn and Ketu in the 6th house. You have to give weightage to the 12th house Mars Rahu, because they are also in a significant position. They are directly opposite to the Saturn Ketu. Leo ascendant. For Leo ascendant, 3rd and 9th axis comes into the 11th and 5th house. So in the 11th house they have Mars and Rahu, and the 5th house they have Ketu and Saturn. 5th house is about your intelligence. 5th house is about your children. 5th house is the house of the Purva Punya, is about the Purva Sanchit. Okay, 5th house is also the Bhavad Bhavam for the 3rd house. It is the house where you literally manifest your hobbies or your inner feelings. Saturn and Ketu does not go well with the 5th house significations of love and romance, but Saturn and Ketu well signifies and correlate themselves with the intelligence part of the 5th house. So the person with the Leo ascendant will feel they are isolated from the love and romance. They won't have that passion for the love and romance, because Saturn, which is all about the negativity and which is all about distrust, and Ketu, the planet of isolation and separation, is coming into the 5th house. Okay, next is Virgo ascendant. For Virgo ascendant, 3rd and 9th axis is coming into the 10th and 4th house. In 10th house for Virgo ascendant, Mars and Rahu conjunction is into the 10th house, and for 4th house they have Saturn and Ketu. 4th house is all about your privacy. 4th house is all about your nourishment. 4th house is all about your stability. 4th house is the house of your home. 4th house is the house of your emotional stability or happiness quotient. And when Saturn and Ketu is into the 4th house, they feel very uncomfortable here. Okay, so you have to be very careful when it comes to the fourth house things for Virgo ascendant. Okay, from career perspective, you will be very aggressive and you will go all out for the 10th house things, but you have to be careful with the fourth house things. Okay, Libra ascendant, for Libra ascendant, third house is coming into the ninth house, excuse me, third Rashi. The third 3-9 axis of Gemini and Sagittarius is coming into the ninth and third house. In the third house, Saturn and Ketu really scrutinizes your communication. Its third house is all about the media, is about the communication, is all about the way you speak. Third house is also the house of your self-effort. Okay, so you have to be very careful with your communication. Okay, because two malefics are placed into the third house and two malefics are aspecting from the ninth house. So you have to be very careful while speaking anything. Okay, you have to be very careful while posting anything on Facebook or uploading any video, any kind of communication. You have to be very careful. The next is Scorpio ascendant. For Scorpio ascendant, Sagittarius sign comes into the second house and Gemini sign comes into the 8th house. Okay, Saturn and Ketu into the second house. Second house is the house of your speech and the money, is about your finances, about the things which you value, is all about the tangible resources. Okay, and what is Saturn? Saturn is an insecure old guy. Okay, so he does not let you spend money. Saturn is an old guy. He is not an immature guy like a Mercury. He is a very serious guy. He speaks very less. And when it is with Ketu, he will speak with with that poised nature and will think twice before he speaks. Okay, during this transit, the people with Scorpio ascendant also needs to be careful while speaking, because their speech is under the scanner of Saturn and Ketu. Sagittarius ascendant, whoa, we have 3-9 axis in 1-7 for Sagittarius ascendant. In the 7th house, they have third Rashi, Gemini Rashi with Mars Rahu, and in the first house, these guys have Saturn and Ketu. Okay, Ketu in the first house makes you neglect things about yourself. Okay, and Saturn is also not much active guy. So Saturn and Ketu both are reluctant. Saturn can make you lazy and Ketu can make you indifferent. So when they are conjunct and into the first house, you will feel lethargic. You will distance yourself from taking any physical activity, because Ketu, Saturn into the first house. For Capricorn ascendant, Saturn comes into the 12th house along with Ketu. I love this position. Though it is the 12th house, both these Saturn and Ketu are very good for spirituality. And as I told you, Saturn and Ketu conjunction makes one spiritually humble person. And when this combination is present into the 12th house of your spirituality, it gives you the path to spirituality. It will help you make progress into the spiritual world. Okay, and you have Mars and Rahu into the 6th house, energizing these two planets even more. And more so, Mars and Rahu loves to be in the 6th house in a competitive environment. Mars and Rahu loves to be in the 6th house, 3rd house, 10th house, because they will get the total manifestation. They would love to be in such houses. 11th house, the Aquarius house, Aquarius sign. Saturn Ketu comes into the 11th house of your horoscope, and Mars Rahu comes into the 5th house of the horoscope. When you have Ketu and Saturn into the 11th house, what it shows is it will make you reluctant about networking, because Saturn is again that old guy who is not willing to connect with people. Saturn is a kind of a guy who loves to work for himself. Okay, he's not much into the networking part. He believes in himself, and because of the distrust, it is very difficult for him to connect with anybody. And when Ketu also joins in here, it makes the Saturn even more alone. And 11th house is the house of connection and networking. So they really feel frustrated here. And for Pisces ascendant, Saturn and Ketu comes into the 10th house. Saturn loves to be into the 10th house. Saturn and Ketu in the 10th house can give good results to the Pisces ascendant, because 10th house is the house of your karma and Saturn is the karaka of the karma. When the Saturn is conjunct with Ketu in the 10th house, it will give them the drive to work for themselves. Okay, and the lord of the 10th house is into the 8th house, okay, which is the house of bhagya. Okay, so for Pisces ascendant, this transit can be very good for their career. Okay, so yes, this was Saturn and Ketu as much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibes. See you in the next videos. Love and peace.